call the meeting back to order, and I see that we have a few people in the audience this evening, and everyone will have an opportunity to speak. I'll be going through the agenda with all the planning items, and everyone will have an opportunity to present their case or speak for or against whatever the application is. But before we start our planning, we had some items we had to discuss in camera, so I will ask for a resolution to please come out of camera.
Resolved that as per section 152(4) of the Municipal Act, Council of the Rural Municipality of St. Clements does now resume sitting of regular meeting.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horbus, Councillor Strang, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. The first item we have on our planning docket this evening is conditional use number 1 of 2023, and I will at 81 Lakeview Bay, and I will ask the planner to please review that for us.
We'll have to enter into the public hearing first, Madam Mayor.
Oh, geez. Okay, go ahead, please.
And I'm just going to do the sharing with the, okay, you're on?
Yeah.
Okay. Just 1 second. Resolved, the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for conditional use 1 of 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, second. Councillor Strang, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. So now I'll back up and I'll ask our planner to please review the information for conditional use of 1 of 2023.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, council members. The first item on the agenda is a conditional use application, CU 12023. The location is at 81 Lakeview Bay, road number 716727. The intent is to allow a home occupation use, personal service to operate on the subject property within the SR seasonal residential zone. This is a conditional use table. It shows what the property is zoned. It's on SR, seasonal residential. And the applicant is requesting the use home occupation personal service. This is the subject side that shows the site itself and the surrounding area. And this shows the site plan of the subject code. This is another the second story of the subject home. And this is the second story too, in terms of the number of bedrooms and the closets. So for council's consideration, the intent is to establish a day retreat on the subject property, allowing 10 participants per facility. The subject site is designated as a resort in the development plan. We have home-based businesses maybe allowed subject to size compatibility with surrounding uses. Given that this is a residential retreat, council should consider if the proposed number of day retreat participants will be compatible with the general nature of the area. According to the applicant, some form of informal residential or resident agreement was conducted with no concerns. The application was subject to the RM's public works, noting that parking should be accommodated on the subject property. RRPD is recommending that should council wishes to approve this application, that 12 conditions should be placed on the application as listed in the planner's report. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Are there any questions from members of council to the planner? Not seeing any hands go up, so I will now ask, is the applicant in the audience this evening? Do you have anything further you would like to add to your application at this point?
I don't think so. I'm happy to answer any questions or address concerns.
Okay. Pardon me? He is the applicant, Mr. Shura. Yeah. Okay, so I'm now going to ask if there is anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak on this application. If you want to come forward and identify yourself, and you can let us know if you're supporting or against, or just here for info.
My name is Brian Kurz. We're across the street from this cottage. My only question and concern is, after this, are there further plans for it to grow in size? You know, potentially bring in more people, more parking, more cars, more traffic into the area. Because it is, as you said, it's a residential area. There are children around, especially during the summer months. Families bring out their children and that, so that would be my only
That would be
concern.
your only concern. Well, I will ask the applicant, do you have any plans of expanding in the future? I know that there are a number of conditions, if council so wishes to approve it, that you would have to adhere to. Do you have any plans of expanding in the future if the business takes off?
I'm gonna give you two answers, yes and no. The no would be from that location, we don't. We also own the adjacent 66-acre parcel of land right behind this site plan that you saw earlier. It's right behind 81 Lakeview Bay. And we would like to possibly in the future develop that parcel, but that would be a completely separate issue. Actually, I'd spoken to Councillor Belanger, it was a year ago or something. We're moving ahead on some of the development of the plan, and I've worked with the planning board a little bit to sketch out some things. But that would be a completely separate idea. It would have nothing to do with the home itself. It's a whole different project. So out of the home, we plan just these day retreats, and my wife and I also, we have a sweat lodge on the 66 acres, that parcel. It's just our own, something we do for community service. And that's all that we're doing right now. We don't ever intend to do anything else out of the house, you know, off of that property, no.
Okay, so you say you have the 66 acres, I believe you said. Where is it in relation to 81 Lakeview Bay?
The backyard. Yeah. The backyard is, the back of the bay, everyone's backyards face our other property, that's 66 acres, and it runs right up to Road 500.
Okay, and our CEO was just going to pull it up so we can see it a little bit better.
You're talking about this property here in the back?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, so in the future, you realize that if you do want to take that next step and do something on the larger property, there would probably be some other applications that you would have to go through?
An enormous amount, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've only done some preliminary work on that. I know the access to it would have to be completely separate, and yeah, it's a whole other project, and we'd be back here for that.
Okay.
And in essence, that would remove everything out of the house then.
Right, right. So it would be basically, if that ever happened, it would be basically closing down the business in your home and having another business on the 66 acres. I think it was 66 you said.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
So if the business does develop further and expand, would access to what you're hoping to develop come through the bay, or would it be accessed from Road 500?
No, there's, well,
Well, I think that's something that we can't even really talk about now. We're looking at this application for the
Yeah.
home place. And in the future, if the applicant wished to develop the parcel in the back, that's something totally different. And I'm quite sure that it would probably have to come before council, whether it be a year from now or 5 years from now, it still may have to come back in front of council. Anything else?
I
Go
can
ahead.
promise Brian, though, I've checked it out in a fair bit of depth, and I've been in touch with highways. There's no way we would be able to, anywhere off of any of the residential streets. It would come off of 500 or North Shore Drive, possibly West Street, because there is a sliver of land that we have against West Street down at the bottom, in the south part. But
Yeah, if it's off
I know it'd be
500.
impossible off of
Yeah,
our
if
bay.
it's off 500, then there's no
Absolutely.
traffic through the bay.
If I could,
Yeah.
this property is, it only in order to develop, it must have access off of a municipal or a provincial road.
Yeah.
And the municipal roads and provincial roads that 66 acres is off of, is not the bay. So you
Okay.
couldn't,
Go through the bay.
what he would have to do is, basically, if he was to develop something like 66 acres and was trying to use his property as an access, you'd have to demolish the house and ask for a road opening, which would be another set of a project, so it's unlikely that somebody would do that. So it would be off of any one of these roads here, here, or down 500 over here,
Okay.
or, as he suggested, maybe a little sliver off of here. If you can see how the property sits, there could be an access right off of here, depending on, and that depends on what's being developed and the traffic impact.
Right.
And so, as he suggested, there's a lot of steps and processes and approvals to go through to do anything on the 66 acres.
I spoke with someone from Highway, and I think their phrase was not a snowball's chance in hell.
Off of 500. Yeah, generally speaking, they don't really like to give any new accesses on provincial roads, but there are some municipal roads that he does have access to.
Okay. That's it.
Good.
Okay, I see that there are a few other people in the audience, and I do have one person on Zoom, and I was just wondering if there was anyone else that wanted to speak on conditional use file 1 of 2023. Go ahead.
It's just and Madam Chair, I think it's a question for both the applicant and the planner. So in the applicant's application, he's talking about times of 9 to 6 p.m. So I want to confirm that. And then I'm looking at stipulation 12 here that talks about 8 to 10 p.m. So I'm wondering why it would be later if the applicants, like, I can get 8 to 7 maybe to allow for some time after session, but I don't know why we would give an approval for 3 hours later.
Okay, go ahead, Femi.
The council has the opportunity to change the timing, but these conditions were directly from the St. Clements zoning bylaw. If you want to do a home business, you have to adhere to these conditions. But the council has the opportunity to change the timing if so wish.
Okay, thank you for that. Anything else from members of council? Is council ready to deal with this application this evening?
Yeah.
Okay, if we can have a resolution to come out of the conditional use.
Resolved that the public hearing for conditional use 1 of 2023 be closed and regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Borges, Councillor Bazzaroli seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. If council is ready to deal with this application, I will ask our CAO to please read the resolution for CU number 1 of 2023.
Whereas applicant owner of tax roll number 716727 of property legally described as Lot 12, Block 3, Plan 12435 and located at 81 Lakeview Bay has made application for conditional use 1 of 2023 in order to allow home occupation, personal service on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, conditional use application number 1 of 2023 be approved with the following conditions. 1, the conditional use is limited to what is presented in this application. Any further changes, replacements, or additions would require a new conditional use approval. 2, applicant owner obtains all required permits from the Red River Planning District. 3, parking for business vehicles shall be limited to 4 and will be restricted to existing driveways. 4, that all parking shall be accommodated on the subject property. 5, home occupations must be carried out within the confines of the occupant's residential dwelling unit and accessory buildings. 6, there shall be no exterior storage of business equipment, materials, merchandise, or inventory. 7, the area set aside for home occupations shall not exceed 20% of the total floor area of such residence. 8, employment is restricted to a maximum of 2 residents of the premises. 9, signs shall be non-illuminated and non-flashing and limited to 1 maximum 6 square foot attached to the building face. Exterior signs are not permitted in any multifamily dwelling unit. 10, non-toxic matter, explosive, flammable, combustible, corrosive, radioactive, or other restricted materials may be used, stored, or produced. 11, no alterations of the residential appearances are permitted. This includes the installation of separate entrances. 12, in no case shall the home occupation be open to the public at times earlier than 8 a.m. or later than 10 p.m. unless agreed to by council.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Boulanger, second, please. Councillor Sutherland, any further discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
I'd like to propose an amendment to item 12 to make it 8 to 7 p.m. 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Is the seconder or the mover agreeable to that? Anybody else, any comments? Okay, so condition 12, do you want to just read it again, please?
In no case shall the home occupation be open to the public at times earlier than 8 a.m. or later than 7 p.m. unless assigned by council.
Okay, I have a mover and a seconder. Are there any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor
Just
Sutherland.
something here, I don't know if it's, the days of operation, is it 5 days or 7 days? Is there any restrictions on the days of operation?
Femi, was
Yeah,
there anything in the
um,
application that suggested that it was only going to be a 5-day-a-week operation?
No, and there's nothing in the zoning bylaw that talks about the days, so it's kind of open, unless if council wants to put a condition that specifies those days.
Questions, comments? Okay. All right, I have a mover, I have a seconder. We corrected the one time there. If there is nothing else, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, the next application we have this evening is conditional use number 3 of 2023.
Resolved, regular meeting be adjourned and a public hearing be open for conditional use 3 of 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, second. Councillor Strang, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Femi, can you go ahead then with conditional use number 3, please?
The next application is a conditional use application CU 3-2023. The location is 39024 PR500, room number 683198. The intent is to allow a home industry use on the subject property that is in the RA suburban residential zone. The table shows what the subject property is zoned, or RA suburban residential. The applicant is applying for an home industry to establish auto repairs. This is the subject site that shows the site itself and the surrounding area. And this is the subject site plan that shows the proposed shop. And this is the building plans according to the submitted plans by the applicant. Shows various site use. For council's consideration, so the intent is to establish an auto repair shop on the subject property. The applicant will be the only one operating the proposed shop. The subject site is designated as resort in the development plan, where small-scale commercial uses are permitted if they service the local population. An associated various application BO12-2023 has been submitted in connection with this conditional use application. The variance relates to the size of the proposed existing associate structure on site. This conditional use application has been circulated to the RM and highways. Comments received relates to applicants obtaining required permits from MIT regarding access to site. If council wishes to approve this application, RFPD is recommending 5 conditions. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions from the members of council to the planner? Is the applicant in the audience this evening?
Yep.
Do you have anything that you would like to add to your application at this point in time?
No, I think it's pretty well covered there. It's going to be a business that'll be run by myself. The building itself, there's an application for a variance for that building. It's to accommodate the garage, and also there'll be a hair salon, which is allowed in the area. That will be also in that same location, same building. Yeah, it's kind of an auto repair that's just a one person, one type waste operation, so it'll be limited to the amount of vehicles that'll be there, and kind of a lower scale.
Okay, thank you for that. Questions to the applicant from council members? Okay, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on this application? Not seeing anyone, so I will ask for the resolution to come out of the conditional use hearing for this part of it, and then I guess we do have to do the other part of it, which is the variation, so we'll go into another board. So go ahead, please.
Resolve the public hearing for conditional use 3 of 2023 be closed, and a regular session of council be convened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councilor Boulanger, Councilor Spicer seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Oh, yes, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. Is this where a restriction of so many vehicles outside would only be, or if you have parts vehicles?
Femi, can you answer that? What is in the in your recommendations there?
So here we have 5 conditions that has to do with applicants obtaining a license, business license from the RM. There's nothing here that talks about parking on site, but in the zoning bylaw, there are a bunch of requirements that has to be met by the applicant, and in speaking with the applicant is ready, according to him, to meet all those requirements. Without that, he will be able to obtain those licenses. But in terms of the conditions, there is nothing here that talks about car parking. But council can impose something on the application if the intent is to restrict the number of parking on site.
Okay, thank you for that. Anything else?
No, I was thinking more like of derelict vehicles. You know how you get parts vehicles?
Yeah.
And just, we do have a few around it.
Just to help address that question, so yeah, there's not going to be derelict vehicles there. These are for repair only. On my one drawing there, it shows where the parking would be just to the side there. My guess is maybe 2 or 3 vehicles at the most would be parked there. I'm not an auto wrecker, I'm an auto repair garage, so it would be strictly anything that would be there would be for repairs and vehicles that would be registered to be on the road. So.
Okay, thank you for that. Does that clarify that for you? Okay. I believe I had a mover and a seconder. Penny? Yeah. Go ahead, Penny.
If the concern is that the number of parking on site, I think council has the power to impose the limit number of parking on site on the application.
Isn't there a limit there? Right, we only have so many vehicles in there.
This is for a repair
Business.
shop. Yeah.
Mhm.
So go ahead, yes, go ahead.
Femi, can you answer the councilor's question as to what's the limit of parking in the zoning bylaw? For this kind of a property?
Just give me 1 second.
Sure.
So this property is just suburban residential, and I'm assuming it's on the property is a single family house. So the number of vehicles will be 2. Yeah.
Within the zoning bylaw,
Within the
right?
zoning bylaw, yeah.
And Heather, I believe I had a mover and a seconder. If there are no other questions, I will call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, so now we will,
Did I read it?
That was closing.
That was just the closing.
oh,
Now you gotta read the resolution.
Yeah, I still have to read the resolution.
okay, sorry.
Okay, so whereas the applicant or tax roll number 683198 of property legally described as Lot 1, Plan 41246 and located at 39024 PR 500 has made application for conditional use 3 of 2023 in order to allow home industry auto repair on the subject property in the RA suburban residential zone. Therefore, be it resolved, conditional use application number 3 of 2023 be approved with the following conditions. The conditional use is limited to what is proposed within this application. Any further changes in use, additions, or expansions to this may require a new conditional use application. Applicant owner obtains all required permits for a Red River Planning District in the Arm of St. Clements. Applicant owner comply with all requirements of section 316 of the home industries as outlined in the Arm of St. Clements zoning bylaw. 4, applicant owner obtain a business license from the municipality before commencing the business. 5, the applicant is required to obtain a permit for the intensification of use of the existing access connection to PR 500. That's it.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horbus, second Councillor Sutherland. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. So now we will move to variation order number 12 of 2023. And Femi, if you could go through that one, please.
Resolved that the regular meeting be adjourned, a public hearing be open for variation order 12 of 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Vazzarella seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Now I will ask you to go through that one, please, Femi. It's variation 12 of 2023.
So the variance application DO 12 2023, the site is 39024 of the 500 road number 683198. The intent is to vary the height from the required 18 feet to 20 feet maximum and the combined floor area of 3,119 square feet maximum from the required 1,200 square feet maximum and a unit area of 2160 square feet maximum from the required 1,200 square feet maximum for accessory structures on the subject property in the RA suburban residential zone. This table shows the request table in terms of what the applicant is asking for and what the property is zoned. So in terms of the combined accessory structure, there are existing access structure on this site, and we're doing a combined size. In the area zone, the maximum allowed of the structure is 1,200. The applicant is asking for 3,119 square feet, and a height of 20 feet instead of 18. This map shows the subject site and the surrounding area. The subject site plan showing the existing house, existing garage, and the proposed shop, and the building site plan in terms of the elevations. The intent of the subject proposal is to establish an residential on the subject property. There is no existing similar variance approval within the immediate vicinity. However, given the size of the subject property at 3.12 acres, Council should consider whether the subject proposal is compatible with the initial area. Both the area of self-clearance and municipal transportation and infrastructure have requirements regarding land grading and access and conditions and access. Conditions of approval regarding these two items have been placed on the subject proposal. The conditional use application, C-3/2023, has been submitted and approved in conjunction with this various application. Some conditions of approval have been placed on the conditional use application also to further ensure compliance and compliance with the zoning bylaw. The council wishes to approve this various application. RPD is recommending 4 conditions as listed in the planners report. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any questions to the planner from members of council? Does the applicant have anything he wishes to add to this part of the application, to the variation order?
No.
No, okay. Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak on this application? Council's ready to deal with the application. If I could have the resolution then to come out of the board review, or the variation board.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 12 of 2023 be closed and regular session of council be reconvened.
Madam Mover, please. Councillor Spicer, Councillor Bazarovic seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And if we can have the resolution for the variation.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 683198, legally described as Lot 1, Plan 41-246, and located at 39024 PR 500, has made application for variation order 12 of 2023 from accessory combined unit area of 1,200 square feet to accessory height of 18 feet and accessory unit area of 1,200 square feet maximum, to accessory combined unit area of 3,119 square feet, accessory height to 20 feet, and accessory unit area to 2,160 square feet. Purpose of the application is to vary the combined area, unit area, and height of accessory structure. Therefore, be a resolved variation order 12 be approved with the following conditions. The variance is limited to what was proposed within this application. Any changes in use, replacement, or further additions may require a new variance approval. 2, applicant owner obtain all required permits from the Red River Planning Office. 3, that the lot grading plan shall be submitted and approved by the RMSA commence. 4, the applicant is required to obtain a permit for the intensification and use of the existing access connection to PR 500.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvis, second. Councillor Spicer. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so moving on, the next application we have is variation order number 4 of 2023. And if I could have the resolution to move into variance board again.
Resolved that the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order 4 of 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Strang, second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm gonna redo that.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, and we're at number 4. Femi, I mixed up the numbers here, so if you could walk us through variation 4 of 2023.
BO for 2023, the location is 28153 Road 74, not road number 257050. The intent is to reduce the required site area from the required 40 acres minimum for the residual lots to 29.697 acres minimum. And proposal of 1 to 10.003 acre minimum within the A40 agricultural user zone as part of the conditions within finally approved S22 subdivision application S22 4971. This variance requested, which shows what the site is zone A40, where the minimum lot area is 40 acres. The applicant is proposing 2 lots. One is 10.003 and the other is 3. As the other is 29.697. This map shows the subject site and the surrounding area, and this is the submitted application map that's done by the applicant. It shows the lots being created from the existing parcel. For council's consideration, the RPD board originally approved subdivision application S22-71 on December 14, 2022. Approving this variance, we allow the applicant to complete condition 4 of the approved subdivision application. Subject property is zone A40, agricultural limited in the zoning bylaw, and designated area resource agriculture in the development plan. Commenting agencies generally limited no concerns. Should council wishes to approve this application, RPDs recommend just one condition. For this type of applications that are associated with their subdivisions, as the council is aware, they are more like formality because this subdivision has already been approved. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions from members of council to the planner? And I know that the applicants are in the audience. Did you have anything that you wanted to add at this point to your application? No? Okay, I don't know that there's anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak on this application, but I will ask the question. I don't see anybody. If council is ready to deal with it, I will ask to come out of the variation board.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 4 of 2023 be closed and regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Horbis, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. And if I could have the resolution for the variation, please.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 257050 legally described as Part Southeast 14-13-5E and located at 28153 Road 74 North has made application for variation order number 4 of 2023 from site area 40 acres minimum to site area proposed lot 10.003 acres minimum and residual lot 29.697 acres. Purpose to reduce the minimum site area proposed and residual lots within the A40 agricultural limited zone. The requested variance in this application is part of the conditions within the conditionally approved subdivision application S22 of 2971. Therefore, be it resolved, the variation order 4 of 2023 be approved with the following conditions: that the variance be limited to what is being proposed in this application. Any further changes will require a new variance approval.
Thank you for that. Mover, Councillor Boulanger, second, Councillor Sutherland. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Yes.
So resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order 1 of 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horbis, Councillor Bazarowicz, seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, that is carried. And Femi, if you could walk us through variation order number 1 of 2023, please.
The variance application BO1 of 2023, location is at 12 October Place, road number 312730. The intent is to allow an increase in the unit area of an accessory building from 1280 square feet maximum to 1560 square feet maximum. This is a request, variance request table that shows the subject side is zone AR, and in the AR zoning district, the maximum allowed size of accessory structure is 1280. The applicant is proposing a 1260 square feet maximum. This is the subject side that shows the surrounding area. This is the submitted site plan as per the applicant. It shows the location of the proposed accessory structure, the existing house, and the existing shed on the subject property. For council's consideration, according to the applicant, the accessory structure will be for personal storage with no business of any kind operating on site. The area is mostly developed as single or family residences, and the soil proposal will be compatible with other existing residential uses in the area. While the size of the proposed garage is not a minimum modification to the zoning bylaw requirements, it is noted that council approved a 1600 square foot accessory structure on the same street, 25 Clover Place, under the 36 2021. The application was submitted to RM of St. Clements for comments with no concerns. RRPD is recommending three conditions the council wishes to approve this application. I just want to make there's a typo in the report. In the AR zone, the minimum, the maximum required size is 1280. The applicant is proposing 1500. I think in the report it says 1200, so I wanted to reflect in the order.
Okay, thank you for that, Femi. Any questions from council to the planner? Okay, is the applicant in the audience this evening? Have you anything that you want to add to your application at this point in time?
No, not really. It's actually a 1,200 square foot building with an interior storage area that increased the floor space or the overall, I guess that would be the overall square footage. But the building still remains 1,200 square feet.
So what you're saying then is that extra storage, is that on a mezzanine or
Yes.
second floor?
Correct.
Okay.
That's exactly what that is.
Okay. Okay, anything else from council to the planner or the applicant? If council's ready to deal with it, I'll ask for a resolution to come out of the variation board, please.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 1 of 2023 be closed. Regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councilor Corbis, Councilor Strang, seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. And if we could have the resolution for variation 1 of 2023, please.
Whereas applicant owner of tax roll number 312730, legally described as lot 11I, block 2, plan 54308, and located at 12 Colbert Place, has made application for variation order number 1 of 2023 from maximum unit size of 1,280 square feet to maximum unit size of 1,560 square feet. Purpose to increase the maximum unit area of a detached accessory structure from 1,280 square feet to 1,560 square feet. Therefore, be it resolved, the variation order 1 of 2023 be approved with the following conditions. The variation is limited to what is presented in this application. Any further changes, replacements, or additions will require new variance approval. Applicant owner obtains all required permits from the Red River Planning District. And 3, the use of the proposed garage is for personal use only and not to be used as habitable space or a business.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councilor Sutherland, Councilor Spicer, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, we are down to variation 5 of 2023.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and public hearing be open for variation order number 5 of 2023.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councilor Sutherland, Councilor Spicer, seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, that is carried. And I will ask Femi to please walk us through variation 5 of 2023.
Variance application 5 at 2023, the location is 5188 Clarence Road, road number 20770. The intent is to increase the number of accessory structures from required 2 to 3 in the AR agricultural restricted zone. This shows the variance request table. In the AR zone, we are only allowed 2 accessory structures per site. The applicant is applying for this proposing 3 accessory structures. This site shows, the map shows the subject site and the surrounding area. And this site plan shows the location of the accessory structure and the existing house on site. For council's consideration, applicant is proposing to construct a 624 square foot detached garage with existing 2 accessory structures on the property. Proposed accessory building is shown to be 25 feet and 142 feet from the side property lines and 21 feet minimum building separation from the existing house. There is no existing similar variance approval within the immediate vicinity, but given the size of the property at 3.7 acres, council should consider whether the number of proposed accessory structures are compatible with the area initial area. The application was subject to the area of St. Clements for comments. Public was putting no concerns. RRP is recommending 3 conditions the council wishes to approve this application. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much for that, Femi. Any questions from members of council to the planner? Okay, I believe that the applicant is actually on Zoom with us. Mr. Lowen, are you have anything that you want to add to the application at this point?
I have a couple things. Just to point out, in the AR zone, the maximum allowed square footage per structure is 1,280 square feet, and the planner can correct me if I'm wrong, which would bring a total square footage allotted at over 1,500. With the proposed 24 by 26 garage and the 2 existing accessory structures, we are still below 1,200 square feet between all 3. The other thing to note is the tree line along Donald Road is quite thick, with some spruce trees as well as some oaks, etc. So the building will most likely not be seen for 3/4 of the year until the foliage is fallen. So you'll never even basically know that there are 3 structures there. Excuse me. And the planner did point out in his notes that there was no existing similar variance approved in the area. At the time of the application for this variance, that was true, but the Garage Masters did an application in the January council hearing at 5455 Henderson Highway for the exact same thing, to have allowed 3 accessory structures instead of the allotted 2, and that was passed by council, I believe, on the 24th or the 26th of January, whenever you met last.
Okay, yeah, that would have been, I think, the 26th, so. Okay, any questions from members of council to the applicant? Okay, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on this application? Okay, if council is ready to deal with it, I will ask for a resolution to come out of the board, please.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 5 of 2023 be closed and the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, second Councillor Belanger. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And if I could have a resolution for variation 5 of 2023, please.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 20770, legally described as Lot 1, Plan 19715, and located at 5188 Clarence Road, has made application for variation order 5 of 2023 from minimum number of accessories 2 to from maximum number of accessories 2 to maximum number of accessories 3. Purpose to increase the maximum number of accessory structures to 3 from the required 2 on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 5 be approved with the following conditions. 1, the variance is limited what is presented in this application, any further changes, replacement, or additions will require a new variance approval. 2, applicant owner obtains all required permits from Red River Planning District. 3, the use of the proposed garage is for personal use only and not to be used as habitable space or a business.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Strang seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, I just want to make sure that I don't.
We're on to variation, it's already, already.
Oh,
No,
right.
we need to do the subdivision first.
So we'll need to do the
Right,
subdivision before
right,
variation.
yeah. Okay, so, we are at number 13 on our agendas, which is a subdivision which requires no hearing, and it is file number S232987. And Femi, if you could walk us through that one, please.
The next item is a subdivision application S232987. The location is 734 Church Road, road number 434400. The proposal is to subdivide an existing parcel of land into 2 proposed lots. So this is the subject side that shows the surrounding context. And this is the subdivision application map as submitted by the applicant. It shows the existing dwelling and the garage and shed on the property, and the 2 lots being created. And it shows the 2 lots again, and the proposed future dwelling on the proposed lot. So this table shows what is subject at the zone is on RA. And in the RA zoning district, the minimum lot area is 20,000 square foot if the area is serviced, and the minimum lot width of 100 feet. So the proposed lot 2 complies with the RA zoning bylaw width and the area, but proposed lot 1 will require the variance for lot width. For council's consideration, the subject land is 2.44 acres in size and located within the settlement center, destination as per the development plan. Given the policies, where growth is encouraged, if municipal services can be extended easily. The intent of this proposal is generally consistent with the development plan. The proposed lots front onto an existing all-weather road, Church Road. Proposed lot 1 will require a lot width variance. Aside from the general requirements from the RM, other commenting agencies generally don't have any concerns. RPD is recommending approval subject to 2 conditions as listed in the planner's report. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you for that. Any questions to the planner on this subdivision application? Femi, can you just go back to the map that was just up there, please, and can you enlarge it?
This one?
No, the one that showed some of the dimensions, not this one either. That one.
Okay.
Can you make that one a little larger, please?
No, but I can. You want me to bring you a copy from the file?
No, that's okay. I was just curious at the bottom there, there's an MTS cable there someplace?
Yes.
Okay, so that is to the west of the driveway.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, no, that's all I was wondering about. I know that the applicant is in the audience. Do you have anything that you want to add to the subdivision application?
No, not at present.
Okay, do you want to just identify yourself, because
Oh,
not everybody on council will know who you are?
Lloyd Fracas, the applicant, me and my daughter are looking at the property there. I did have kind of a question about the engineered drainage plan, but that can probably be dealt with separately.
It probably will be a condition of the subdivision. I didn't look at all the
Yeah,
conditions here, so.
That's the only one that I wonder about, because
Right.
like I have drainage on 3 sides.
Mhm.
Like, you know, to develop that engineering drainage plan is like the property kind of comes down
40 or 45% of the front property drains already into the ditch. And there is a little swale that goes on the back there midway on the property, so it's got natural drainage down and natural drainage off the back in that way, so. Because it would be pretty costly to get that engineered drainage plan, if it could be
Can you
considered.
speak to that, please?
All properties are required to provide engineered drainage plans to make sure that whenever a subdivision occurs, that it doesn't have negative impact on surrounding properties, and the only way we can determine.
Well, he's next door. And
Yeah, but he won't be there forever.
Yeah,
Just like most people will never, the property will be subdivided forever.
yeah, totally understood.
Okay, I guess we continue read the resolution.
No, Chris was.
Oh, is it?
Okay. Regarding subdivision application S23 of 2987, proposal of Fricus to subdivide lots 46 and 47, Plan 13052, Winnipeg Land Titles Office, excluding out of lot 46, the easterly 110 feet, excluding out of lot 47, right away of the Winnipeg Northerly, right, RLI Company, Plan 1936, Winnipeg Land Titles Office, subject to the special reservations contained in the grant from the Crown in RL 71 and 76 Parish of St. Clements. CT certificate title number 127-8189/1. Resolved that council approve the said application subject to the following conditions. 1. Applicant owner submits confirmation in writing from the chief administrative officer of the municipality that taxes on the land to be subdivided for the current year plus any arrears have been paid. B, development and road levies to be paid as per bylaw 14 of 2009. C, provide a digital copy of the plan of subdivision of the RM of St. Clements. D, an engineered drainage plan be prepared, indicate positive drainage to the property to the satisfaction of the RM of St. Clements, and to ensure that the proposed property does not drain onto or impede drainage from neighboring properties. Developer to pay the connection fee and utility buy-in for proposed lots set out in bylaw 10 of 2012. Applicant order obtains variances on substandard lot width.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Boulanger seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And now we will go back to variation order 8 of 2023, and we'll move into variation board to deal with that variation.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order 8 of 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horwitz, seconder, Councillor Bazarowicz. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Femi, can you walk us through that variation, please?
The variance application, BO 8 2023, the location is 734 Church Road, road number 434,400. Proposal is to reduce the required site width from the required 100 feet minimum for the proposed lot 1 to 90 feet minimum within the area suburban residential zone as part of the conditions within phenomenal approved S23-2987. This is a variance request table which shows that the soil property is on area suburban residential, and in that zone the minimum lot width is 100 feet. The applicant is proposing 90 feet for proposed lot 1. This is the sublet site that shows the surrounding context, and this is the subdivision application map as submitted by the applicants. For council's consideration, this application is a fulfillment of condition 3 of subdivision application S23-2987. The site width as proposed for the proposed lot 1 did not comply with the area suburban residential law within width requirements. The subdivision application was approved by council not quite long ago, and the approval of this variance application will ensure within bylaw compliance. The application was subject to the area of St. Clements, and there were no concerns. Council is recommending just one condition to council wishes to approve this application. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions to the planner from members of council? applicant wants to add at this point in time? If council's ready to deal with it, I'll ask for a resolution to come out of the variation board.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 8 of 2023 be closed and regular session of council be reviewed.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Horvath seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And if I could have the resolution for variation order number 8 of 2023, please.
Whereas applicant order tax roll number 434400 legally described as lots 46, 47, and 13052 and located at 734 Church Road has made application for variation order number 8 of 2023 from site width 100 feet to site width proposed lot 90 feet approximately. Purpose to reduce the minimum site width to the proposed lot 1 within the RA suburban residential zone. The requested variance in this application is part of the conditions within a conditionally approved subdivision application S232987. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 8 of 2023 be approved with the following conditions. The variances is be limited to what is being proposed in this application. Any further changes will require new variance approval.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Spicer seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so that concludes our variations, conditional uses, and subdivisions for this evening. We still have a couple of items to go through, and one of them is a bylaw public hearing. And I will ask for a resolution.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for bylaw 10 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, second. Councillor Horvath. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, do you want to go ahead here, please, do that?
Certainly, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Bylaw 10 of 2022 is being put forward, which is closing of public reserve land, which is a condition related with a subdivision that has already been approved. Subject to sections of the municipality may close public reserve lands where the land in the name of the municipality or the crown in the rights of Manitoba. Passing a bylaw by closing a public reserve land, obtaining written approval of the bylaw from the minister, and registering approval bylaw if required. In this case, council is putting what's being put forward as part of the subdivision that has already been approved. The public reserve land described that's been identified here in the portion of the public reserve shall be closed. Upon closing the public reserve land, it'll be transferred to the owner of the consolidated with the title with Lot 1, Special Lot 1 Plan 19365 Winnipeg Land Titles Office, and with a further legal description. And what the bylaw does is gives the authority to the CAO to proceed with signing of the bylaw. Would you like me to describe the plan of subdivision, Madam Mayor, and go through that a little bit further?
Please.
Okay, so as we see, what we have is the plan of subdivision that was put forward, and the part that's being closed is right here, as I recall. Right here.
All right.
So the part right here is being closed in order to allow access to those properties off of the main road, as there have been restrictions put on the properties on the rear so that there's no development allowed and no access made available off of the rear. So this part of the public reserve was related as part of that. As I understand, several years ago when this subdivision was approved, there was additional public reserve lands that were provided by the applicant, and this was as part of that negotiation when that entire subdivision was put forward.
Okay, Femi, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Not at the moment, but if council, if you have any question regarding the process, I'm sure it's going for the second and the third reading tonight, and that will be in accordance with the bylaw process. So council can actually do that tonight, yeah, the second and the third reading.
Yeah, so council can have the second and third reading tonight as well as per the process. So
yes.
once the first of the public hearing is done, we can go in and have the second and third reading once that is completed.
Yes.
And so there was a community planning report on the public reserve closing, and the intent of the close of the portion, so I'll just quickly go over that a little bit just to make sure that we've covered everything. The intent is to close a portion of the public reserve to create a new residential lots as per subdivision application, as I mentioned, S19 of 2813 in the Arma St. Clements. Government agencies comments. The bylaw was circulated to the government departments and agencies for review and comment. The comments were summarized below and attached to this report for council's information. Agricultural, no response. LMTS, no concerns. ECP drainage and water rights licensing branch, no concerns. Historic resources branch, no concerns. Indigenous relations, no response. Land titles office, the name of the Manitoba land surveyor should be corrected. It was what was identified. Manitoba Hydro Center Gas easement will be required for existing facilities, that being addressed through the related subdivision application already. Mines branch, no response. MTI highway design, no objection. MTI water management, no response. Real estate services branch, Manitoba Finance, no concerns. Natural resources and northern development, no response. Recommendation, our office has no concerns with this bylaw. After considering all representations to the public hearing, council may proceed to make alterations to the bylaw to address the comments from TerraNet Manitoba to correct the name of the Manitoba land surveyor and proceed to give the bylaw second and third reading. After third reading, please submit the following to the Community Planning Branch Office in Selkirk. 2 certified copies of the bylaw, copy of the minutes of the public hearing, copies of the written submissions received, CAO statutory declaration verifying that the notice and the public hearing were properly executed, and, if applicable, a summarized report of objections received from both the public hearing and the provincial review, with statements explaining how objections were dealt with. Upon receipt of this above material, the bylaw will be considered for approval on behalf of the Minister of Municipal Relations. If approved, it will be returned to the municipality for registration and return. And then we have several letters of opposition, Madam Mayor, and those were provided to council in advance, so I don't think we'll be reading each letter of opposition, unless council wishes me to.
No.
But we can speak.
You can bring them up if they want to speak, yes.
Okay, I don't have a list of names of those wanting to speak on the application, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down the list that we have before us, and anyone who wants to speak on this bylaw will have the opportunity to do so. And at the end, I hope I catch everybody, but if I don't, there will be an opportunity for those who aren't on the list here to speak if you so wish. So I am going to start with Joanne Therian. Are you in the audience this evening?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
I was here at the public hearing in 2019, and I was very surprised to receive the letter by mail that said that it's basically accomplished and closing the public reserve. We've stated as residents for a long time that there's a lot of noise, traffic, parking, and there's very, very few quiet places in Balsam Harbor that remain. And this was one of them. Walkers, joggers, all of us enjoyed this partial of pristine land, and it is a corridor for wildlife from the trail all the way to the lake. So very disappointed to hear that already I guess lots were already approved, where there's about 40 lots in the area that are still empty and available to build. So anyways, yes, there's a lot of lots in here.
Are we talking about the subdivision, or are we talking about the closing of the?
It's the closing of the
Right, so I don't
public
think we
reserve.
need to hear anything about the subdivision that's already been approved. This is about the closing of the public reserve now, Chair.
Okay, yes, closing of the public reserve. And so all I would have to say is that in 2019, there were about 40 people that were opposed, and there had been different solutions that would have been considered, we thought. For example, access at the end of the of Willen Road, or again through the public reserve, but without affecting the public reserve. So I'm hoping that perhaps that there's still a solution there to not close that reserve and keep it for the residents in the area. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, the next name I have on my list here is Morris and Diane Therian. Don't see anybody moving. The next name I have is Muriel Therian. I do not have a first name here. Oh, maybe it's on the letter. Bear with me for a sec. Luke Langevin. Rachel and Gilbert Villefair. And Lot Sheffy. Okay, and those are the names that I have on the list, and those are the names, oh, one more here, Goodmanson, and that is Stuart Goodmanson. Okay, so having gone through all the names on the agenda and on my list here, is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak on this bylaw? Go ahead, sir. Can you please state your name for the record, though?
I'm Ken Skinner. I'm a property owner in Balsam Harbor.
Okay.
The purpose of this change was to allow...
Can you just give us your address, please?
31 Roxanne Close.
31 Roxanne Close, thank you. Go ahead.
The purpose of this change was just to allow access, driveways into these lots. Is that what the trust was behind all this?
Go ahead, Deepak.
That's my understanding, yes, sir.
Pardon me?
That's my understanding, yes, sir. It was
So that-
already determined as part of the subdivision, so there was a public hearing that occurred for the subdivision, and it was identified that the public reserve would be closed, or would be returned back, and there was a trade-off for others as part of that entire subdivision approval, and that was to allow access from the front, because there was going to be no access allowed, I think, on lots 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 from the back. And they weren't allowed to do any development for 15 feet at minimum of the back in order to create a blockage for the people that existed to the south.
So there couldn't have been driveways over a public reserve. Is that the issue?
For the properties to have access, they can't be just given individual, they need to have full access off of, a property needs to have access off of a municipal right-of-way, not off of a reserve.
Okay,
so
Like you couldn't put a piece of property behind a park and then say that it's developable.
So does that parcel A become part of the individual lots then, or just the access?
Those lots will look like the solid lines and the dotted line will disappear.
So it extends those lots.
Correct.
I see. Well, I can see why there's confusion, because it's just not, so there's less restriction on the buffer zone than on the public reserve. And it becomes part of the adjacent property, the individual parcels, lots 3 to 8, or whatever you mentioned.
I'm not sure I understand by less restriction on the buffer zone.
Okay, that's my lack of understanding of, what the terms mean. But is it true then that what was formerly the public reserve parcel A becomes part of the adjacent lots?
Correct.
I can see why there's confusion and some concern. I still support the subdivision, and I'd like to see it go ahead for the Thomas family, but I can see why there's confusion. I'm not opposed.
I apologize for that. That's just technicalities.
I take responsibility for a good part of it. I'm not opposed.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, is there anybody else who wishes to speak?
Yeah.
Can you just give us your name and location for the record, please?
It's Viola Billis. We live on John Boulevard, which is backing on. We are in Boulder Bay, so we're backing on to those properties. Back in 19, I believe when it was, then we were also given where we knew that first the property, that public reserve was going to be closed, but we were under the understanding that it was going to be brought to the back so that there would be a public reserve equal to what was at the front brought to the back. So that's where I'm not seeing it or understanding it.
So if I could just, Madam Mayor, bring up the map of that area.
Please do.
Boulder, what's your address?
23 John Boulevard in Boulder Bay. I think according to this thing, we are, I don't have the legal description. It looks like
So-
a lot.
What you will see is the property, this is the property area that we're talking about here,
Yes, that's.
right in
yeah,
here.
Okay.
That is considered a back lane. And so there might have been an impression of a public reserve, but what was accomplished as part of that was that there's a back lane running along here. Okay? That's a
Or
public.
supposes there's
that's-
nothing there,
But there's
okay.
nothing there, but
Yeah.
it is an official right-of-way access that
Okay.
was there, that existed, and that was the right of the property owner as a back lane.
Okay.
Because of the dialogue, from my understanding, I wasn't here at the time, from the dialogue with the residents in the area, council made a decision to restrict any development and any access off of that back lane. And which in fact created like a public reserve.
Okay.
And so that's why there was the trade-off to allow for development to be getting out access off the main road.
Okay.
And so at the back, there is some 15 feet where they're not allowed to cut down any trees. They had to redesign their drainage, everything, so that they couldn't impede on any of that. So it's functioning like a reserve. So there's no development allowed on that area.
Okay.
And that's registered on those properties.
As the back. So is that then part of our property, or is that an additional?
It's not a part of your property, many people.
Or sorry, yeah. So, okay, so like beyond our property line then would be an additional 15 feet or whatever the lane is width?
Beyond the lane here, okay, if I take a look at your
Yeah.
property, There's the space here, this is considered the municipal right-of-way.
Okay,
Okay, no one's allowed to build on here,
right,
but you can see what's happening already.
oh, yeah.
Because there's, okay, but you're not allowed to, so the municipality, at any point in time, if they needed to build to have access to that, it's a municipal right-of-way,
Okay,
okay? Just like a provincial right-of-way and any of those types. And then beyond this is another 15 feet of restriction that there's no development or anything to occur.
Okay.
To leave the trees, no tree cutting, no brushing, nothing.
beyond that.
Beyond that property, yes. And that was the trade-off.
Okay,
On top of, there was additional public reserve lands
On.
as part of the entire subdivision that the developer was required to provide.
okay, okay, that's where it wasn't, I wasn't quite, it didn't indicate that that part was going to be there, or
It's
because
not
it
gonna
was
be a public
already
reserve.
existing?
It's
Yeah.
still owned by us, but it's just we
gonna
can't be developed.
Can't.
Okay,
So it functions as a public reserve, but it couldn't be created as a public reserve at that point.
okay. So in other words, no fences can come to the back, because there's lots of deers and animals that come through.
There was to be no development on that area.
Okay,
So in order to put fences up, you'd have to cut trees down or something else, and that's not allowed to be occurring.
okay, okay,
And just for clarity, like you said at the start, we did give up a significant chunk of land in basically horse trading for that public reserve. The square footage, I don't remember, but it was, we gave up more than what we were actually receiving. So,
That's what I understand, was the developer had provided more land.
yep,
except for
that's
it's
right.
a square thing off to the side, like it's not,
Yeah,
it's not
This land
like
wasn't
a
used,
corridor.
other than people trespassing from one side to across their property. It was never in use like for,
Yeah,
forever, so.
we've never cut across it, we've just seen the deer come through. So that's where it was, yeah,
So you're the owners or the
correct,
applicants?
yes, the applicants, yeah.
And so you could state for them, there's no intention of building any fencing?
No, like you said, it's pretty clear in the development agreement, the back 15 feet, we can't cut, we can't develop. There's also a restriction on the front of the property as well.
Yes.
So it's heavily restricted property already. We feel that we've been more than fair in our negotiations and, you know, what we've requested. Again, you know, my dad, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, they've been on that property for generations. So I appreciate the comments that, you know, it's a beautiful area, we agree it is, but we've been there forever before any of this stuff was developed, so we feel we've been very respectful and fair to all the residents in the area. So I'm a little frustrated with the opposition to this, but everyone has the right to express their opinion, and that's why we're here. So.
And I'm just gonna ask you if you could please state your name for the record, because we do record our meetings.
Sure.
And I didn't ask you when you first started to speak. So-
Yeah, no problem. I'm Chris Thomas. I'm representing the applicants for the subdivision.
Okay, thank you for that. I will ask, is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak? Can you please go ahead then and just state your name for the record and give us your comments?
My name is Evelyn Vermeer. We just new to the area, so I have actually a question. I noticed that on the map that you have the development, now it's not on your screen, I don't think, right, but the one that you had before. Yes, that one. Notice that there's no development past that, like there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots that are being developed?
Plus the residual, which is number 3 on the map that we're looking at,
Number 3.
right at the.
Right here.
right
Oh,
there.
so that one will also be subdivided?
No, that's the size of it. There's, actually, if you go just a little bit to the north there, there's lots 1, 2, and then 3, and then the smaller lots, 4, 5, 6,
No.
7,
Lower
8.
there.
Sorry.
There.
Okay,
So
so,
1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah,
okay, so number 3 is also gonna, like it's a separate lot?
Yes, it will
yes,
stay
it
that
is,
way.
and it will stay that way.
And it will stay that way, like it will stay without buildings and that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so
That's
For
the
this-
homestead, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. For this application, so just for your own information, lot 3 is where my uncle resides. He elected to take his parcel and just keep it in one lot. The lots 1 and 2 are for the other 2 brothers. Then the other lots, smaller lots, are for basically grandkids. So with this application, we have no intention of subdividing lot 3 any further.
Okay, okay, because then at least it leaves the, like, I know that parcel of land that you're trying to get access to for parking, I understand, like, for the new residents and that, but I was wondering about what would happen to that parcel that is in lot 3. So I guess that one will just stay there with no, like, with no driveway or anything going through that one.
Like, it'll have a driveway off the corner.
Yeah, exactly, so it will stay as is.
Majority of it, wherever the driveways are, it's up to the property owner
Yeah.
to develop their land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it will still allow some of the wildlife to go through and, to some extent, I guess.
It'll be like any other lot around the area, right? We have areas where we can't cut trees, we'll cut what we need to put a cabin up or a house, right? But we can't do anything outside of what is agreed to in the development agreement.
Yes, so to speak to, so all of this entire dotted area is what's being handed back as being closed as part of the public reserve. Correct, from here, from this point, down to that point of that dotted line is the public reserve. That's being provided. There's a break here at 15 feet that no development is to occur. No cutting of trees, nothing. Okay, so those properties here, then when they go to build cabins or whatever, then they have to abide by the zoning bylaws. So just like every other house in this property that around here that had to abide by the zoning bylaw, by how many feet they had to be from the sides, from the front street, and all those types of scenarios, which has already allowed wildlife to go through, as it has. So if they were to make anything different, then they would have to come back for a special approval. As you saw throughout tonight, there were people coming in for special approvals for larger buildings, side yards, or a smaller lot, or any of that. That all has to be. Right now, the only thing that's being approved is the closing of that public reserve as part of the negotiations that had already occurred in 2019 when the subdivision was approved. So this hearing is not about the subdivision anymore, and there will be no further subdivisions associated with this hearing.
Okay.
Could I just say one last thing?
Sure.
Just by respect to the Thomas family, when I was here in 2019, we very much respect that the family has been there a long time. And I think, Mayor, in my letter, I stated that we, of course, the Thomas family should have their building lots. This was really about the public reserve. I was under the impression, and many others, that there would be a right-of-way through the public reserve, but that it would not be taken away. So just to make that difference. So I would have hoped, and others would have hoped, that that public reserve could have stayed in place, but with access to the lots in the house.
Okay, thank you for that. Anybody, I will ask one more time if anybody else has any comments that they would like to make. And if there are no further comments, go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
The question of putting a right-of-way through a public reserve, I don't think it can be done legally. So that's the challenge. But I do believe, and I think it's been alluded to tonight, is we did put restrictions on how those lots are developed in the front. I believe that the minimum amount of trees to be cut to put in an access, and those are not the exact wording, of course, but I think it's, our agreement says something to that effect, if I remember correctly.
Yep. We can cut for the driveways and the drainage, but there is a buffer on the front and the rear lots.
Yeah. So I think that's how council, I mean, those concerns were raised and we found that's the solution we found.
Yes.
Okay, if there is nothing further, I am going to ask for a resolution to close the public hearing for bylaw 10 of 2022.
Resolved that the public hearing for bylaw 10 of 2022 be closed and the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowitz, second. Councillor Strang. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And we will move on to our bylaws under number 15.
Can I ask one more question? Sorry to slow you up. The part that was traded that becomes public reserve between Roxanne Close and Brittany Road, that is officially public reserve now, is it? That this transaction
If it's
approves that?
approved, then Deepak's just gonna pull up the map, I believe. That's okay.
There we go.
So where did you say, sir?
Well, it's between, it borders Roxanne Close and it's behind the lots that front on Brittany Road.
This part?
No, just to the right.
No,
So,
That finger of land that goes north, north's right there.
This one right here?
Yeah.
So that will,
Yeah,
that is part of the public reserve.
and that's happened now, that's official.
No,
It's been approved through the subdivision, but the subdivision has not been registered at land tables yet.
Yeah. So now, once all this happens, then it can get registered. Once it's registered, then it'll be part of the
Yeah.
public reserve.
I'm only asking because people treat it like it's part of their property and I'd rather see it left as public reserve.
Well, it's intended, it'll be, once it's done as a public reserve, it'll be under the title and under the name of RMSA Commence.
Okay, thank you.
Now, some people do encroach.
look at the map.
Yeah, just look at the map.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so I think no more questions. I'm gonna ask our CAO to please move forward with the resolution for the bylaw.
Did I close the,
Did we close the public hearing, Henry? Yes, we did.
okay. So now we'll do the, resolve bylaw 10 of 2022 being a bylaw to close the public reserve land as amended be given second reading.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horwath, second. Councillor Sutherland. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Now, Madam Mayor, as Jenny had already communicated, we can do second and third reading today.
Correct?
So resolve bylaw 10 of 2022 being a bylaw to close a public reserve land as amended be given third reading.
Okay, for third reading, as we know, sitting around our council table, it is an automatic recorded vote, so please keep your hands raised for whatever you're voting on, and I will ask Heather to please record it. So can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Bazarowitz seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed?
Is your hand up, Councillor?
And I think Heather's got it that we all are in favor of third reading for the bylaw. So that ends our planning for this evening, and we still have a few items here that we have to work through this evening, but I would like to take a 5-minute break, please.
Can we go in camera first?
Sure.
Resolve council recess the regular meeting and go into in-camera to discuss legal and personnel issues, and further be it resolved all matters discussed are to remain confidential as per section 83(1)(d) of the municipal law.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horwath, Councillor Strang, seconds. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.